60, and I'm going to work my butt off to make sure that that's possible. But the most important thing is, if we live that long, will it in fact be worth it? So when we were first conceiving of building a business around this challenge, we thought to ourselves, what are the pillars of healthy aging? And as far as I'm concerned, it's all about human performance. You want to be able to think at a very, very high level and be intellectually competitive. You want to be able to move around. And one of my colleagues says, does that include horizontal mobility? I said, absolutely. And you want to also be able to look and feel youthful and competitive. So this young lady in the photograph is a 91-year-old athlete who defies logic by having the ability to compete at high levels in things like the long jump. Listen, I hope that I can do this at her age of 91. So we decided to put our efforts together. My background in cellular medicine, Craig's background in genomics, Peter's background in everything exponential, and establish human longevity here in San Diego with the sole effort of taking all of the tool sets. My friend John Nosta talks about the fact that digital health is going to sort of direct itself towards defining immortality. And the bottom line is that we can look at our own successes and expertise in our fields and try and derive some approaches or strategies to deliver products that might in fact do what we're talking about. So, you know, in my life, I spent the last 15 years building what's probably the world's largest regenerative medicine company as a division of Celgene Corporation. And I took a lot of what I learned as a surgeon from identifying problems, taking that set of problems back to the laboratory, and then deriving a product or an approach, a therapeutic approach, back to the patients. The last time I gave a talk here, I talked about the early challenge of pharmaceuticalizing living cells, turning them into such a reliable, high-quality product that physicians would adopt and use it much in the way they would use a small molecule or a biologic agent. I'm happy to say that at Celgene, we've been able to do that, and we've been able to treat lots of patients with different disorders, from autoimmune diseases to stroke, using cells derived from the placenta. And Dan and Alan did such a great job explaining the fundamental concepts, and I'm sure in this sophisticated audience I don't have to repeat this, but you know, stem cells are remarkable because they have the ability to mature into a variety of specialized forms, while also being able to self-renew and kind of replenish the reservoir from which they come. Now, Alan showed this picture. You know, I realize that Alan, Dan, and I, we all wind up stealing each other's slides, so we're going to have to check that from now on. But this is a great case. But what this illustrated to me was that there's something unique about the in utero environment that provides the building blocks that allow for scarless repair. And Alan, I think, articulated it beautifully in talking about this regeneration versus the non-functional, dysfunctional repair process that occurs later on in life. If we could capture that, harness that power, and turn it into therapeutics, it would be extremely useful. And in fact, that's what we did at Celgene when we built the business around recovering stem cells from the leftovers of birth, namely the umbilical cord blood and the placenta. And what I've learned in the last 15 years, and I think this is true, is that every stem cell, regardless of where you get it from, thinks it's still in a fetus. Okay? So that's a good thing. If that's true, then maybe we can use that to our advantage and apply it to fixing what's broken as we age. So is there a biological fountain of youth resident in stem cells that we can readily collect, process, cryopreserve, and keep available for a long period of time? I think that there's a connection. So if you look at what we know about stem cell populations in our body, and you can find stem cells in every organ, every tissue of your body throughout your lifetime, there's clearly evidence that as you age, the number of those cells declines. In addition, I believe that the functionality of those cells decline because of accumulation of defects that reside in the biological software and DNA of those cells. And if you think about it, the fate of defective stem cells is what gives us all our problems in medicine, okay? We know that stem cells that go awry can become tumors. We know that as stem cells begin to accumulate problems like unrepaired double-stranded breaks and translocations, deletions, that they're not good at performing their job. So you get abnormal repair responses, fibrosis, things like that. And then clearly, if this accumulates, multiple cells with multiple abnormalities, if that accumulates, you'll get whole organ dysfunction. And those are sort of the hallmarks of aging. Your kidneys aren't working that great, your liver doesn't work that great, your skin doesn't look as good, etc. So we came up with this concept that in order to stay young, you need to have a really high-functioning, very active regenerative engine. And I believe that stem cells are the fuel in the regenerative engine. And since stem cells reside in all tissues, and since they drive the natural repair and renovation of those organs and tissues, making sure that that reservoir, that fuel tank stays full of good quality fuel is really, really important. But in trying to think mechanistically, why do stem cells provide this tremendous function?